Hey, basketball fans, welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for the hottest NBA regular season predictions. I'm Kokan, and I'm here to break down today's matchups and give you the edge you need to make the best bets. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support means the world to us. Remember, our channel has no sponsors and relies solely on the love and support of viewers like you. Even a small donation by pressing the thanks button under the video helps us keep bringing you top-notch content every day. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow basketball enthusiasts. And we love hearing from you, so drop a comment below and let us know what you want to see in our forecasts. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you crave. Let's jump right into today's NBA predictions. We've got some exciting games lined up, so stay tuned and let's get that winning streak going. Today we have predictions for 6 NBA games. The first prediction for today is for a game between the New York Knicks and Orlando Magic. The Knicks roll into Orlando tonight, and let me tell you, this matchup has all the makings of a gritty Eastern Conference showdown. New York is on fire right now. They've been a force to reckon with, racking up a 20-10 record and riding a 5-game winning streak. Their Christmas Day thriller against the Spurs was a nail-biter, but they pulled it out 117-114. It wasn't the prettiest game, but winning close ones like that shows their resilience. Jalen Brunson? Man, he's been a steady hand steering the ship, dropping 24.5 points a night and dishing out dimes like it's nothing. And let's not forget Karl Anthony Towns. This dude has found his groove in the Big Apple. He's not just a scorer. He's rebounding like a beast and shooting the lights out from deep at 45%. The Knicks offense is cooking, ranked 3rd in the league, and they're doing it all at a slower tempo, which is kind of wild. Now, Orlando's a team you can't sleep on, especially at home. Their 19-12 record doesn't tell the whole story because they've had more injuries than a soap opera. Losing Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner has been a gut punch, and Moritz Wagner's season-ending ACL tear doesn't help either. But give credit where it's due, this team has heart. They went into Boston short-handed and still came out with a win. Guys like Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs have stepped up big time, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has been the veteran glue holding it together. Orlando's defense is no joke. They're top 3 in defensive rating, locking teams down and making every possession a grind. The problem? Their offense is streaky at best, and without their top scorers, they're missing that consistent spark. The last time these two squared off, the Knicks handed the Magic their first home loss of the season, beating them 100-91. That game showed just how disciplined and well-rounded New York can be. They crashed the boards, hit their shots, and played tough defense. If they can keep knocking down threes at their current clip, they're 2nd in the league in three-point percentage. It's going to be a long night for Orlando. Here's the kicker, though. The Magic are one of the best home teams in the league. They're 12-2 straight up and ATS at the Amway Center. Despite their injuries, they've found ways to scrap and claw their way to wins. The Knicks, on the other hand, have the rest advantage, which matters a lot when Orlando is coming off a back-to-back. Fatigue could be a factor, especially for a team already running on fumes with a short rotation. I've got to admit, I'm torn here. The Knicks are the hotter team right now, and they should take this one on paper. But betting against the Magic at home? That's dicey. They have that gritty, underdog mentality and thrive in front of their home crowd. I think the Knicks pull out the win, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Magic covered the spread. 7 points is a lot to give a team that fights like this, even when the odds are stacked against them. My gut says New York, but my wallet's leaning toward Orlando keeping it close. Here, I'm with the Magic to cover a 7-point spread.
Welcome to BetUS, Sportsbook and Casino, your ultimate hub for secure and thrilling sports betting and casino gaming. BetUS is one of the oldest and most reliable online sportsbooks in the U.S., serving millions of clients all over the globe each month. BetUS, trusted for over 30 years, offers huge welcome bonuses, countless betting options, and many deposit and payout methods. Depositing funds is a breeze and safe, with a minimum deposit of just $10. Payouts are fast and hassle-free, beginning at only $50. Choose from various payout options like MoneyGram, couriered check, cryptocurrency, or bank wire. Signing up is quick and easy. For signing up, you can use the link in the description and enjoy a generous 125% welcome bonus of up to $3,000. By signing up using the link in the description, you'll also support us as we earn a small commission from your registration at BetUS. Thank you for supporting us. Join now and start winning.
The second prediction for today is for a game between the Indiana Pacers and Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics and Indiana Pacers are about to face off in what feels like a game with a lot riding on it for both teams. The Celtics are looking to snap out of a rough patch, while the Pacers are hoping their recent hot streak can keep rolling. It's a classic setup. A rested, high-caliber team at home against an underdog playing some inspired basketball, even if they're coming off a grueling back-to-back. Let's start with the Pacers. This team has been sneaky good lately. They're on a 5-game win streak, and they've been doing it against some big names. Beating the Warriors, Suns, and Kings on the road is no small feat, especially when you're not even expected to win those games. And let's be real, nobody thought they'd come out on top in 4 of those as underdogs. They've gone from being a question mark on the road to a squad that's gaining some serious respect. That said, this back-to-back situation isn't ideal. They just battled the Thunder, a young and scrappy team that makes you work for everything, and now they have to travel and deal with a rested Celtics group. Fatigue is going to be a factor. Speaking of the Celtics, they're not exactly feeling great about where they are right now. This is a team with championship aspirations, but dropping 3 of their last 4 games, including a stinger against the 76ers on Christmas Day, isn't exactly inspiring confidence. Sure, they're 22-8, which is nothing to scoff at, but that record against the spread, just 11-19, tells you they're not covering the big numbers they're getting slapped with. And those big spreads have been a problem. Whether it's the Magic, Bulls, or even the Sixers, Boston's been laying points like crazy and not cashing in. Here's the thing about the Celtics. They rarely lose back-to-back games, and you know they're going to come into this one fired up. They don't take losing lightly, and they're the kind of team that knows how to make a statement after a tough stretch. With extra rest and a chip on their shoulder, it's hard to imagine them not coming out sharp, especially with their home crowd behind them. But that doesn't mean they're a lock to blow the doors off the Pacers. Indiana has covered the spread in 6 of their last 7 matchups with Boston, even if they didn't win most of those games outright. The Pacers have a knack for hanging around and making things interesting. The way I see it, the Celtics probably win this one. They're too talented and too motivated to drop 3 straight. But 12.5 points? That feels like a lot, especially with how the Pacers have been playing lately. Indiana's found a groove, and even on tired legs, they're not the kind of team that just rolls over. I'm expecting a solid effort from them, even if they ultimately come up short. If you're looking for value, I'd take the Pacers and the points. This one feels like a Celtics win, but not by a blowout. Before we move on, I have a quick favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing might seem like a small action, but it actually makes a big impact for us. Plus, it's completely free for you. Have you clicked that subscribe button? Awesome, thank you so much for your support. Now let's dive back into the video. The third prediction for today is for a game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Houston Rockets. Alright, let's break this one down. This game between the Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves is looking like it could be a tighter contest than people might think. The Timberwolves just squeaked out a 105-99 win over the Dallas Mavericks on Christmas Day, but they definitely made it harder than it should have been. They had a 28-point lead at one point, but nearly let the Mavs claw back into it, getting outscored 31-15 in the fourth quarter. That's not a good sign for a team trying to find its rhythm, and it's been the story of Minnesota's season so far, showing flashes of brilliance, but not being able to close games out. If they want to stay in this one, they'll need to stay locked in from start to finish, especially with a team like Houston on the other side. Now, Houston's been a juggernaut this season. At 21-9, they're looking pretty solid, and their defense has been lights out, ranking second in the league in defensive rating. They've got a well-rounded squad. Jalen Green is leading the charge. Sengun's been putting up double-double numbers consistently, and Fred VanVleet has been a clutch addition with his leadership and experience. Dillon Brooks? He's been locking down opposing scorers like it's second nature while still contributing offensively. The Rockets might not have a true MVP candidate, but they've got depth, a solid defense, and everyone's buying into Coach Udoka's system. But here's the thing, Houston's coming off a back-to-back, having just played the Pelicans, and that could lead to some fatigue setting in. Playing the second game of a back-to-back against a team like Minnesota, who's had the luxury of extra rest, could be a real challenge. Speaking of the Timberwolves, they're not without their flaws, but they've got a few things going for them in this matchup. First, they've got their rest advantage. Houston's been grinding, but Minnesota's been resting, and that could pay dividends, especially late in the game when fatigue starts to kick in. Plus, Minnesota's staying in Texas after their win over the Mavericks, so they're not dealing with any long travel. As for their squad, Edwards has been doing his thing, putting up big numbers, and Julius Randle's been contributing too. Gobert is still doing his thing defensively, but if Minnesota wants to compete here, they need more out of their supporting cast. DiVincenzo and Conley need to find their footing, and if that happens, they've got the offensive firepower to keep things close. Here's where I think the Timberwolves can make a move. Houston's defense is great, but with the Rockets playing on no rest, Minnesota should have some room to exploit their fatigue. The Rockets are going to have to dig deep to keep up the intensity they usually bring, and if Minnesota can slow the game down and hit their shots, they'll be in good shape. I'm expecting a competitive game, but given the Timberwolves' extra rest and the fact they've got enough scoring to hang with the Rockets, I think they'll keep this one within a 2-point spread. If Houston's legs aren't as fresh, that could be just the opening Minnesota needs to keep it close or even pull off a win. The fourth prediction for today is for a game between the Cleveland Cavaliers and Denver Nuggets. All right, Hoops fans, buckle up because we've got a showdown brewing between the Denver Nuggets and the Cleveland Cavaliers that's bound to bring the heat. Let's break it down, but let me warn you, my Nuggets loyalty might peek through here and there. I mean, how can it not? Let's dive in. The Cavs are riding sky high right now, sitting pretty with a 26-4 record and flexing as the NBA's top dogs. They've been cruising on a 5-game win streak, and it hasn't even been close. Every dub has come with double-digit swagger. Donovan Mitchell has been balling out, Darius Garland is making defenders look silly, and let's not even start on that paint protection duo of Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. These guys are built for postseason havoc, no doubt about it. But here's the thing, Denver's home court is no joke. The altitude, the crowd, and that 8-4 home record all scream, don't sleep on us. Sure, their Christmas Day loss to the Suns stung a bit. It was a 110-100L, but let's not act like this team isn't capable of flipping a switch. When they're clicking, they can hang with anyone in the league. Nikola Jokic. Do I even need to say more? The guy's a basketball wizard. He'll have to carry a lot of the load again, especially with Aaron Gordon sidelined. That's a big loss for us because Gordon's versatility and rebounding are huge for setting the tone in the paint. Michael Porter Jr. chipped in 22 points last game, but I need him to crash the boards harder. Those second chance points aren't going to create themselves, you know? Now the Cavs. Man, they're a nightmare matchup. They've got no glaring weaknesses, and they've been taking care of business on the road too, with a 9-3 record. They've already beaten us once this season, and it wasn't pretty. 126-114. Yikes. Cleveland's length and defensive grit could give Jokic some headaches, but stopping him completely? That's like trying to block out the sun. Not happening. The key for Denver here is pace. If they can push the tempo and force Cleveland into transition, that's where they've got a shot. Jokic will do his thing, but Jamal Murray has to be sharp. He's probably with an ankle tweak, and if he's even close to 100%, that's a game changer. Let's keep it real. This one's going to be a grind. The Cavs have been torching the league, and they've got every reason to think they can snag another win. But Denver at home? That's a different beast. The Nuggets play their best ball when their backs are against the wall, and you know they're itching for revenge after that earlier loss in Cleveland. So here's where I'm at. I'm taking my Nuggets. I think they come out fired up, fueled by the home crowd, and ready to make a statement. Jokic will put on a show because, of course, he will, and if the supporting cast steps up, I believe they'll pull this one out. I'm rolling with Denver to cover the plus 2-point spread, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked to see them snag the W outright. Call it bias, call it faith, but I've got a good feeling about this one. Either way, it's going to be a fun night of hoops, and you won't want to miss it. The fifth prediction for today is for a game between the Dallas Mavericks and Phoenix Suns. So, the Dallas Mavericks are heading into Phoenix to face the Suns, and this game's got me intrigued. The Suns have the advantage historically, leading the all-time series 99-78, and they've had the Mavs number lately, winning 2 out of the last 3 matchups. They beat Dallas 114-113 in a nail-biter back in November, and before that, it was a more convincing 114-102 win in late October. Phoenix has been dominant overall, winning 14 of the last 18 games against the Mavs, and they've held their own at home with a 3-2 record over the past 5 encounters. But let's talk about what really matters right now, Luka Doncic. The Mavs MVP is sidelined with a calf strain, and that changes everything for Dallas. The thing is, despite Luka missing time already this season, the Mavs have still managed to hold it down. They're 6-2 without him so far, and while they couldn't pull off a win against the Timberwolves on Christmas Day, they didn't go down without a fight. They erased a 20-point deficit and had a chance to snatch the lead late in the game, which says a lot about their resilience without Doncic. Kyrie Irving stepped up big time, dropping 39 points, and we've seen him lead the squad in Luka's absence. But with Doncic out again, Kyrie's going to have to carry an even heavier load. The question for the Mavs remains, who's going to step up as the third option? Klay Thompson, despite his reputation, isn't the guy he once was, and he had a rough outing against the Timberwolves, scoring just 12 points on 4 of 12 shooting. He'll need to be better, especially with Luka on the sidelines. PJ Washington and Derek Lively, both potential third-wheel candidates, haven't leaped yet, and that's where the Mavs need to find some consistency. They can hang with the best when their offense is clicking, but their struggles on the glass and the turnovers are areas that could bite them. If they can clean that up and shoot the ball well, they have a real shot. As for the Suns, they've been rolling, especially with Kevin Durant back in the lineup. KD has been their rock, and when he's healthy, this team looks like a contender. But when he's out, Phoenix struggles. They're 14-5 with him and just 1-9 without him this season. Against the Denver Nuggets on Christmas Day, Durant went off for 27 points, leading his team to a solid win. Bradley Beal also had a great all-around performance, chipping in 27 points and locking down some solid defensive plays. But they've got their own injury concern with Devin Booker, who's been sidelined with a groin issue. If he can't go again, the Suns will have to rely heavily on Beal and Durant, with Tyus Jones ready to step in as a secondary option. While the Suns have the firepower with Durant, Beal, and potentially Booker, they've had trouble covering spreads this season. Phoenix has been favored by significant margins in several games, yet they've struggled to close out with the spread in their favor. They've also had defensive lapses, especially when it comes to rebounding and limiting second chance points. There's even talk about a possible trade involving Jusuf Nurkic, who hasn't quite lived up to expectations. If they can shore up their defense and get the ball moving, they could be in a good spot to cover. But that's a big if. In this game, both teams are going to have to adjust without their star players. For Dallas to pull off a win or cover the spread, they've got to control the tempo and make sure they win the rebounding battle. Phoenix, on the other hand, will be looking to slow things down and grind out a win with their stars. If Booker is out, that puts a lot of pressure on Durant and Beal to carry the load, but the Mavs have proven they can play without Luka and still compete at a high level. I think this game will be closer than the oddsmakers might expect. With Luka out, it's going to be tough for the Mavs to put up the same kind of offensive firepower, but I trust Kyrie to step up. The Suns, while talented, haven't shown they can consistently cover spreads this season, especially in tight games. Given all that, I'm going with the Mavericks to cover the +2 spread here. It's going to be a competitive, hard-fought battle, and I believe Dallas can keep it within range and maybe even pull off the upset. The sixth prediction for today is for a game between the Golden State Warriors and Los Angeles Clippers. This showdown between the Clippers and Warriors feels like a tale of two teams heading in opposite directions. Golden State, once flying high at the start of the season, is now barely keeping its head above water. They've dropped 11 of their last 14 games, and let's be real, it's not just bad luck, it's bad basketball. Even with Steph Curry still balling out when he's on the floor, his rest for this game leaves the Warriors in a tough spot. Without him orchestrating the offense, it's hard to see where the consistency will come from. Draymond Green's questionable status only adds to the uncertainty. Golden State's struggles were on full display in their Christmas Day heartbreaker against the Lakers. It's not just about losing, it's how they're losing. The defense isn't locking in when it matters, and the offense isn't as fluid as we've come to expect from a team known for their beautiful game. When the shots don't fall and the defensive rotations are slow, the Warriors just look flat, and that's been the theme lately. They're 15-14, and honestly, they're lucky it's not worse given their recent stretch. Meanwhile, the Clippers are quietly figuring things out. They've had their ups and downs too, but Ty Lue has done an incredible job maximizing what he's got. This team is all about defense, and it's working. Even without Kawhi Leonard stepping on the court yet this season and Paul George now repping Philly, the Clippers are finding ways to win. They've taken 3 of their last 4 games, and at 17-13, they're looking like a team that's starting to gel. James Harden might not be Houston Harden anymore, but his veteran presence still makes a difference, especially when the game slows down. Norman Powell has stepped up as their go-to scorer, and Ivica Zubac is quietly having a monster year. Zubac doesn't grab headlines, but his rebounding and rim protection are keeping the Clippers in games. This team thrives on making life miserable for opponents, and that's why their defense ranks among the league's best. The Clippers have also owned the Warriors in recent matchups. They've taken both games this season, and it hasn't even been close. They won outright as underdogs both times, and it feels like they've got Golden State's number. Whether it's Ty Lue's game planning or the Warriors' inability to adapt, the Clippers just have their way against them. Playing at home, where they're a solid 10-6 this season, only adds to their edge. Golden State needs a spark, but it's hard to see where that's coming from right now. Curry sitting out and the team's recent lack of fight doesn't inspire much confidence. They're a team searching for answers, and until they find them, I can't back them with any conviction. The Clippers, on the other hand, are steady and reliable, especially on their home court. They've won 5 straight against the Warriors, and I don't see that streak ending here. If you're betting on this one, I'd roll with the Clippers to take care of business and cover the minus 4-point spread. They've got the momentum and the defensive chops, and the Warriors just don't seem ready to right the ship. This one feels like another tough night for Golden State, and the Clippers are set to keep stacking wins.